Hundreds of Israelis hit the streets furious at a potential ceasefire deal with Hamas. Israelis are so batshit crazy. They're the only people I've ever seen protest against the concept of peace, which isn't surprising considering these are the same people who protested their government demanding them to allow Israelis to rape Palestinian prisoners. Now Israelis are protesting the idea of Israel releasing 1,000 Palestinian hostages, many of them being women and children. Yes, Israel is currently protesting so that their government can continue to hold Palestinian children in torture dungeons. Israel is truly a sick society. Israelis are furious because they are just now realizing slaughtering a bunch of children does not mean winning a war. Israelis are chanting that they want to win this war because their stated goal was to destroy Hamas. Meanwhile, Hamas is still standing strong. Don't get me wrong, Hamas has been weakened, but their recruitment numbers are through the roof, and they are snuffing out IDF soldiers every week. Now Israel was forced to accept a ceasefire deal where many of their red lines were crossed, including ending the Israeli occupation of Gaza. And for what? Countless IDF deaths, settlers fleeing Israel en masse, Israel's economy being in shambles, and the international community hating their guts. Was it worth it? Now we have Israelis hitting the streets furious because they realized their settler colonial state was led off a cliff by a genocidal maniac.
What's poppin'? My friends, my family, welcome to another edition of Nick at Night. We have an amazing guest with us, Carl Zah. I'm very excited we'll introduce him here soon. But with this news, and there are a lot of context I'm going to add regarding this ceasefire. But with this news, the Democratic Party is dead. all the liberals, and you guys remember this because I covered this as it was happening. All the liberals that was fantasizing about Trump flattening Gaza, they're extremely disappointed right now. The credibility of AOC, remember AOC saying Biden working tirelessly for a ceasefire? Remember Mehdi Hasan attacking Jill Stein and true anti-genocide protesters? Because according to him, the real way to show solidarity to Palestinians was supporting the people complicit with the genocide. Are these people ever going to have a reckoning? Are they going to ever acknowledge that it was completely wrong? Here's a headline. I'm very interested in getting Carl's opinion on this. Why is Netanyahu poised to okay a ceasefire that's favorable to Hamas? One word, Trump. Because during the Biden administration, Hamas was adamant that they wanted full retreat of Israeli soldiers from Gaza. And actually, let me rephrase that because that's not even 100% accurate. There was many deals on the table where Hamas was okay with Israeli occupation, but then Israel turned it down, just to be more accurate. But Israel, their red line was them leaving Gaza. And now Trump has Israel accepting a deal which will force Israeli occupation to end. Now, there are a lot of caveats to this. I predict that Trump will allow Israel to break this ceasefire like he did many others. And there are a lot more to add to this story, but let's think about this in terms of the devastating blow this is to the entirety of the genocidal liberal media who painted this narrative that there was nothing that old man genocide Joe could do to stop Benjamin Netanyahu and the mainstream liberal class pretending that we was conspiracy theorists. By bringing up the fact that the United States is completely funding and enabling the Israeli project, hence giving the United States president a unique bargaining tool that he can hold over Israel. There's so many different ways to break the story down, but I'd love to get the thoughts of Carl Zah, a regular on RBN, a friend of our network, amazing geopolitical commentator, author, and host of his own podcast, the Silk and Still podcast. Welcome to RBN. Once again, Carl Zah.
Hi, Nick. How are you guys?
Hey, I'm doing pretty well. It's great to have you on. Always great having you on for what I call the RBN Foreign Policy Power Hour. 'Cause Carl's is really expertise on China and just geopolitics in general. And with that said, we was hit with this big news. And I will always admit, because I think this is a learning process, the process of gathering intellect. I will 100% admit that I did not see this coming. I will want, if people was like, Nick, you said, yes, this is shocking, but I am someone who just gather information and make a new announcement with that. This is a devastating blow to the liberal class. But what are your general thoughts, Carl? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? What are your thoughts on the upcoming ceasefire? What are your overall thoughts, Carl? It's great to have you on once again.
Well, Nick, you're not the only one. You're not the only one who's shocked and surprised. I mean, none of us would have expected this, especially coming from Trump. But you are absolutely dead on how it exposed the hypocrisy of DNC. You know, for the whole time they've been gaslighting all their bases that you got to continue to support us, even if we continue with supporting Israeli genocide. And then they say, well, it's really hard. The ceasefire is really complicated. It's really hard to do. It takes a lot of background work. You know, we are working ceaselessly. You know, as AOC is saying, you know, completely lying to her base. It turns out it's as simple as the U.S. envoy traveling to Israel and say, okay, we want you to stop this right now. And this is what happened because, according to the report, the U.S. envoy traveled to Israel asking for a meeting with Netanyahu, and he was told, "Oh, sorry, like we have to schedule because you'll be a Saturday, you'll be Shabbat, and like you know Netanyahu can't meet you on Saturday. How about Saturday night?" And the guy just told her, no, like, I don't care. I'm coming to Israel, so I want to meet you now. It's as simple as that. U.S., you know, it's all these talk about Israel, you know, controls the United States, blah, blah, blah. No. U.S. and Israel, it's the same animal. And U.S. government can always, at any point in time, put its foot down and tell Israeli leaders what's up. What is going to happen, and just like what we saw. I mean, I'm surprised they did that. They always had the power to do that at any time. I'm really surprised that this has happened. I think this is because this is my guess. This Trump right now administration right now, they have so many common priorities. they want to put one. The Middle East issue in the back burner, and the way to do it is to tell Bibi, you gotta calm down. You gotta calm down. Just agree to ceasefire, so we'll take this issue off the table. Because Trump right now is concentrating on taking Greenland and Canada and Canada. I think U.S. empire or the ones who are running it has come to a realization that the strive for full spectrum dominance all over the globe is unrealistic. So what right now they're trying to do is they're trying to consolidate the U.S. hold in its own hemisphere. That's why the sudden switch is switching to talk about going to Mexico, going to Panama, going to Greenland, going to Canada, because then U.S. will not be taking on like a near peer competitor. For example, Russia. Like this is why Trump want to wind down the Ukraine war, because now they want to focus on U.S. primacy in the Americas. This is just my guess. I think this was going.
Yeah, and the way you described it is 100% accurate regarding Israel being a project of America. They are tied to the hip. In fact, you will hear senators and United States people say, they will say it all the time. They'll say the quiet part out loud. They will say, they were like, why do people think we're so invested in Israel? Israel interest is American interest. Israel is America. I think MAGA people say Israel is America. Like they are very open, and that's why the people who don't want us to be aware of what's going on, they say that you're anti-Semite if you say that America is Zionist occupied. And that's why I think it's the most accurate way to describe it, because the number one driver of Zionism is Christian Zionism. So the United States is the driver of Israel and Zionism, and our country is occupied by Christian Zionists that enable that project to be. And that's why you hear, and it frustrates me. I'll have no one to call out by name, but there are a lot of like liberal Zionists that think they're good on the issue, like progressive except Palestine. They hate when you say that. Like, I remember, like, if you ever say we're Zionist occupied, they say, "Oh, that's an anti-Semitic trope." Whenever people say that you're committing anti-Semitic trope, it's because you're getting too close to the truth. And that exactly, I think, is the best way to describe it. And I want to get your continued thoughts on this, because the reason why this situation is extremely interesting, because it's clear, as you described, that the reason why the Biden administration didn't secure a ceasefire deal and they didn't call up in Israel and curse them out was because Biden wanted, and this is a very important thing to understand, Biden wanted the genocide of the Palestinians. And Carl, I'll pass it to you on this thought, because I explained this on this show before. There's not you will not find a more hardcore Zionist in the United States government other than Joe Biden. Joe Biden's entire career was made from the Israeli lobby. Out of all the current elected officials, no one received more AIPAC money than Joe Biden. He is tied to the hip to the Zionist ideology because he owes his entire career to them. So do you guys think it's a coincidence that Israel engages in the final solution when they finally had their boy in office? When they finally has Anthony Blinken as Secretary of State? Biden is the greater evil. So before I continue, I know that was a rant, but Carl, anything you want to add before I move on and show a few more receipts here?
You know what they say? When people tell you what they are, believe them. I mean, Biden has said over and over, "I am a Zionist." and back when he was still lucid and coherent, back in 1980s and 1990s, that's exactly what he said. He said, well, if there's not an Israel, the United States need to create an Israel. This is the best $3 billion investment we ever made. And, he was pointing very gung-ho, very upfront about it. And you got to believe him. He has been saying that. He's at least consistent. He's been consistent for many, many decades. And like, I don't know, DNC, people like AOC, they're trying to paint him as just a harmless grandpa. No, that's bullshit. He didn't get to where he is, being like a zombie he is now. Now of course he like during his presidency, he was perfect for the deep state, perfect cover for the deep state. Plausible deniability all around. But I'm still in shock. By the way, I'm still in shock. This ceasefire.
I am too.
Happened, and that Trump actually, because Trump, we all know, is supposedly even more pro-Israel than any other guy. But Trump has his priority. He is looking at his priorities, right? And his priority right now is not to be dragged into a Middle East conflict. Whereas Biden, especially even on his way out, it seems like his strategy is to light the whole world on fire. Not only he did not stop what Netanyahu is doing in Gaza, he was, funneling more arms to Ukraine, authorizing deeper missile strike into Russia, risking a nuclear war, and he's doubling down on the China sanction, sending more weapons to Taiwan. So it's almost like Trump, what Biden is doing is just you know what, guys, I'm out, so I'm going to create an absolute mess. I'm going to Trump-proof this world, right? Yeah. There's no way you will be able to back out the Ukraine conflict. There is no way you're going to back out of the quagmire in Middle East. I'm going to make sure of that on my way out. And so I'm very surprised at this new direction you are. I mean, so far I'm liking it. We're going to have to see. I think I agree with you, Trump. Trump will probably let Netanyahu to get off the hook somewhere down the road. But for now,
it's based on the people he surrounds himself with. Like, Mike Huckabee is the Israeli ambassador. Like, just based on the people that Trump is surrounding himself with, it's obvious that he's going to switch. Like, that's just common sense. And if I'm wrong on that, guys, I'll come out here and I'll have to reevaluate a lot of things. But I'm telling you, just based on who he's like, my Pete Hegseth, he had his congressional hearing, and I can find the clip. I didn't have it planned. I may show it to you guys for shits and for laughs later, where he essentially pledged like unwavering loyalty to Israel. There was like a whole segment where he was talking to Tom Cotton, and they were explaining how important it is to be Christian Zionist. And one of the most embarrassing moments in American history. I'm definitely doing a segment on that, by the way. I don't know when. But so the people around Trump, it's guaranteed that he's going to eventually switch on this. But there is also a very inconvenient fact that every single Bernie progressive who voted for Kamala Harris need to wrap their mind around. It's official because the Biden administration, Kamala Harris made it 100% clear that her Israeli policy was not going to change. Joe Biden, as you explained, on his good day where he can think clearly, is hardcore ideologically aligned with the Zionist project. There is nothing you can say that can make him change his mind over the Israeli right to kill Palestinians. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you had Kamala Harris, who doesn't have a fucking independent thought in her brain. Her entire Israeli policy comes from her AIPAC handler husband. So she was going to double down on the Israeli genocide. So the reality is a vote for Kamala Harris was a vote for genocide and continuing the genocide, while a vote for Donald Trump was a vote for a ceasefire. Isn't that very interesting in hindsight? And I'm going to show you guys this, and I can go through this all day. And Carl, I saw you on mute, so I'll pass it to you. I can show you guys just see all day, but for a second, there's so many of these tweets of liberals just outright fantasizing because they were genocidal maniacs, and they had to rationalize why they are genocidal maniacs. So after their genocidal maniac party lost, they then started celebrating the idea of Palestinians being slaughtered. Like so many people going after uncommitted. And there's so many examples of this. There's one, look, Gaza will be flattened, just you wait. With a picture of Hillary Clinton. Of course, it's a code. So you guys see how liberals were celebrating and it was taunting Palestinians. Like the harassment that my Palestinian friends got on Twitter after Kamala lost was mind-blowing. There was fucking salivating over the thought of Palestinian families being killed because of Donald Trump, even though Gaza's already flattened, even though there's always a genocide. But Carl, I know you unmuted earlier. I know you want to chime in. Any thoughts before I move on?
I mean, that's exactly right. Leave people when they show you who they are.
Yes.
And this is greatest thing about social media on Twitter. You know, now we don't have a filter. We see these guys' unfiltered thoughts unfolding in front of the whole world. These guys are really showing you what they actually are, and they themselves are totally 100% pro genocide, pro killing Palestinians. They don't care. They don't give a fuck about Palestinians, and for them, it's all about getting Trump out. You know, voting our guys in, and you know, of course, the irony is, you know, now it's the exact opposite has happened. I think there will be zero reflection on their part. Actually, I think there will be zero reflection on DNC. I mean, I don't see any of them will even try to make that connection.
Dude, if you read the quote tweets of this uncommitted statement on the election results, it's like a liberal Klan rally. like look at this tweet here from this black liberal fuck. Y'all stupid bitches never feel progress in the Democratic Party. Y'all benefited from the work of black folks. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. And fucked us over for your allegiance to another fucking country. I hope y'all experience so much pain. I hope y'all experience so much pain. Go ahead, Carl.
These people, they are the ones who is actually benefiting from the DNC, from the system. And they're trying to gaslight the rest of us. Like, why can't you be more like me? You know, why can't you be more like me, who is actually benefiting from the system? And all these people, they are, you know, we know they don't care about Palestinians, but before they have to at least pretend, they have to like stick to the polite discourse. And but when with the Trump victory, that give them kind of the excuse now for all the racism that was bottled in to come out. Like they feel like now they're giving a hall pass to tell us how they really feel. And
Exactly.
okay, they believe them when they tell you who they are.
Dude, like I didn't even plan on this, bro. Reading the quote tweets of this uncommitted post got 1.5 million views. Like I said earlier, this is a liberal Klan rally. This is another person pro-Palestinians. We really show Kamala Harris Gaza in 2025. Once again, ignoring the fact that this is Gaza under Joe Biden. That was the most infuriating thing about these posts and about the psychotic ideology of liberals. These are the people who legitimately believe that they're good people. And people and the Hassan Anabis and the TYT Bernie progressives, they will legitimately tell you to your face that, oh, if you're a leftist, it's better for us to organize with liberals. You want to organize with these evil fucks? These people that might as well have a Klan hood on. Like, bro, every single one of these comments, and sorry, I'm kind of being the point up, but this is kind of, look, everyone just saying right in hell. Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, let's move on. This is very fast. I might have to look through this later. I'm definitely going to show some receipts. I had to screenshot some of these later. This is fucking wild. But anyway, I'm going to show you guys the results of this ceasefire. And this is what I did my hotspot video over. I did my hotspot video in the intro over the psychotic society known as Israel. And I know there may be some examples in history that I'm missing, but you won't find many. How many times have you seen massive protests from a country where there's a lot of casualties in the IDF, their economy is being hit by the war? How many times have you guys seen people rally in support of continuing a war? And the liberal, and like the MSNBC neoliberal talking points that they use to keep themselves up at night and justify their support for Israel is that they will blame the genocide only on Benjamin Netanyahu. Oh, Israel is a settler colonial state. They just held victim by Benjamin Netanyahu and a tyrant. And they will always like frame the people who are upset at Benjamin Netanyahu as people who are pro-peace. And that was, we explained, and I'm sure you explained as well, that has never been the case. Like, Israelis was upset at the government for not going harder at Palestinians. And here's the headline. I'll get your thoughts. I know I'm talking a lot. I want your thoughts on this headline here. And I talked about this earlier. Hundreds in Jerusalem protest against expected Israeli-Hamas ceasefire deal. And I had a screenshot. I showed it in my hotspot video. I don't have the screenshot on me. But one of the people that was interviewed, one of the Israelis, they was upset at a potential ceasefire deal. And I covered this in my hotspot. You can find it there. Because they didn't want to see the release of 1,000 Palestinian hostages. So that was like a red line for them. So we know that the majority of the Palestinian hostages, they call them prisoners, are women and children. So do you guys understand that Israel had a rally with people that was demanding that their government keep Palestinian children in rape torture prisons? My God.
Nick,
the level
Nick, they had a
Go ahead, Carl.
Nick, they had a rally protesting arrest of soldiers who committed rape on the Palestinian prisoners. I mean, they have literally pro rape rallies in Israel. I mean, like the guy who was accused of raping prisoners, he became a celebrity. He went on like TV talk shows in Israel. I mean, it's a sick society. It's a very sick society.
Yeah, I gotta be careful what I say. I should be careful what I say. But Israelis, I'll skip that because I don't want to get into fucking trouble. But I'm gonna say I don't believe any Israelis are innocent.
You don't want to be next Kanye.
I have to be very careful. But I'll just say this. I never thought I would hate a group of people like I hate the Israelis. I think that's the cleanest thing I can say. I never thought that was possible. I said this many times before. The Zionists, they are my lifelong enemies. Like there's no reconciliation after this. I cut people off in my life for way less than Zionism. You know what I mean? There's no breaking bread with Zionists. There's no friendly. It's done. It's over. And we need, and especially as Americans, people who our freedom of speech is attacked, financial security is attacked. I know countless friends that lost their positions, their jobs, have been financially retaliated against because of Zionist scum. At what point do we draw the red line? And I think if you're
genocide should be a red line. Genocide should always be a red line.
Of course, absolutely. Imagine you're a Western feminist, which is a complete joke. But imagine you're a Western feminist, like majority of the Democratic Party, and you believe that you stand up against sexual assault and rape. Meanwhile, you are a Zionist when they have a systemic process where IDF and military members rape Palestinian women and pray that, like, there's all this mass sexual assault against Palestinian women, but you're a fucking feminist and support of Israel. Tell me more about that. Now,
I mean, the deep state has weaponized feminism to the point that they're doing like pink washing of bombings of like, now they're literally, Pentagon literally have videos talking about their women drone pilots, who bombs weddings and funerals in Afghanistan. This is the world. Like they're literally doing that meme where they're like, now with the Democrats, now at least we know the people who bombing us is a woman. It's amazing progress. I mean,
Yeah, and this is why many Western feminists are tricked by Israeli propaganda, because they will show pictures of the Israeli female soldiers, and they're like, hey, look, we support female colonizers too. And then the dumb fucking liberals like, oh, see, look, Israel's great. Look at how they treat women in Muslim countries. And that's how Zionism is enabled. And I was supportive, guys. I was back in my liberal days, I was all about being a male feminist. Fucking done with it. Now that I'm smarter, now I'm not a dumb liberal, I realize that Western liberal feminism has been used as a way to justify slaughtering Black and brown men and justifying imperialism by labeling Black and brown people as barbarians while weaponizing rape. So that's just the reality. I understand, and I obviously fuck with my radical feminists, communist feminists, but the reality is Western feminism is garbage. And I don't fucking play with it. I don't even justify. I'm not playing that game no more. But anyway, we're beside the point. Western feminists are the people who call for regime change in Iran because they don't have the right to make an OnlyFans. Like that's the problem. Their fight for women liberation started at their ability to start an OnlyFans. Not whether they have health care, not whether they have paid maternity leave. They just want to be able to show their fucking ass. And if you're able to do that, that's women liberation, according to them. It's a complete fucking joke. And I'm actually kind of embarrassed I ever fell for it. But anyway, let's move on. This is some Israelis panicking. And this gets back to our main topic. Then we're not the only people that's surprised regarding Donald Trump advocating for this ceasefire. Here is Israeli media. And I think the person here, according to this Twitter account I found this from, is a Netanyahu proxy. I'm not really sure this guy personally, but according to them, he's a Netanyahu proxy and says, we're the first to pay a price for Trump's election. I don't think this is in English. I don't think we had to watch it. I had to watch the video for a second time because I can't understand it. So this is what he's saying. We're the first to pay a price for Trump's election. This is really incredible. Like, I remember Israelis were celebrating when Genocide Joe lost because Zionists are so unhinged and so extreme. They saw Joe Biden do everything that Israel wanted them to do, but it still wasn't enough. So they saw Trump and MAGA win, and they was excited, and now they realize, like, holy fuck. And if you go to that receipt I showed earlier, when the Mideastern envoy to Israel made his demands, they reported how the Israeli officials were shocked. Like, Like Trump pulled a fucking con on him and Biden. I was thinking about this earlier. I would love to see if you agree with me on this. When Trump was pushing Biden to his right on Gaza, saying that Biden is being weak on Israel, maybe, and once again, this is a theory. I have nothing to prove this guy, but maybe that was Trump saying a trap for Joe Biden. So Trump was saying, oh, Biden is pro-Hamas, Biden is weak on Israel, so he forced Biden's hand to be harder and go harder for Israel, only for Donald Trump to pull back after he won, only for Donald Trump to talk to Muslims in Michigan and promising them peace. So maybe I'm overthinking it, but I think Trump played them. I think one of the reasons why Biden went so hard because he's assumed Trump would match him. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it.
I think what you're saying, this is like only Nixon can go to China moment. Like because no, who is gonna accuse Trump of being anti-Semite, right? And who's gonna accuse Trump of being anti-Israel? Nobody. So only Trump can do this and get away with it. I mean, whereas Democrats, they might get attacked, and they're always scared of being attacked by Republicans, whether weak on defense, weak on national security, or weak on support of Israel. So they double down on it. But it's just mind-boggling. All it took was for American envoy go to Israel, have Netanyahu sit down and tell and read him the riot act. That's all. That's all he needs. That's all he took. Yet Biden, totally didn't want to do it. And the rest of the Democrats are gaslighting their base, saying, "Oh, we actually want to have a ceasefire, but it's difficult." I mean, it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, absolute bullshit, and people like Mehdi Hasan has a lot to answer for. For example,
oh my God.
And I'm showing him because he's the guy. He blocked us, and he's like the number one pretender. Fake anti-establishment, fake anti-Zionist, who actually enables Zionism way more than any liberal Zionist ever could. Mehdi Hasan enables Zionism way more than like an ADL Jonathan Greenblatt. You guys realize that, right? Because he convinces people who are anti-Israel to vote for the most diehard Zionists in the world. Can you imagine being Mehdi Hasan and you cover the genocide in Gaza, but then you take it upon yourself to attack the only candidate opposing the genocide in Gaza and convincing Palestinians to supporting the people who are enabling the genocide? That is truly nasty work that Jonathan Greenblatt has nothing on. Like, you guys realize that, right? Like, Sean Hannity has nothing on Mehdi Hasan. Like, in terms of propagandists. None of these people, Lawrence O'Donnell, Rachel Maddow, none of them have shit on Mehdi Hasan. Because how many anti-establishment people are being tricked by Rachel Maddow into voting for genocide? That's my point. Now, this is why I bring him up, because now he's trying to do a face turn. Because now you're like, oh man, all the people that said that Joe Biden didn't have the power, you guys are proven wrong. I told you guys he had the power, and he chose not to end the genocide. What does that say about you, considering that you was attacking anyone who was advocating not voting for that? So here's Mehdi Hasan. I'll get your thoughts, Carl. I'll read this tweet. Here, Mehdi Hasan is doing this thing where he's attacking Biden now, but this was him before the election. For anyone who doubts Trump will be even worse than Biden is on Gaza, here Trump saying Netanyahu is doing a good job. Biden is trying to hold him back and probably should be doing the opposite. I'm glad that Bibi decided to do what he had to do. So this is Mehdi Hasan assuring you that Trump would be worse on Gaza than Biden and Kamala Harris. These people are the dumbest people in politics. And that is me being nice, because that's me taking the malicious nature of their intent away. Take away the malicious intent, and you have the dumbest people in politics, because this is the rope-a-dope that he fell for. But Carl, I know you probably had plenty to say. I want to get your thoughts on the liberal propagandists and Mehdi. They're now backtracking, but it's so obvious they were doing propaganda for genocide. And now I'm going to show you guys some more Israeli meltdowns. But Carl, any thoughts?
But I mean, Mehdi Hasan, for anyone who has been paying attention to his career, this guy is a career grifter, and he is total control opposition. I mean, there's still people can still find online his Mehdi Hasan a groveling application letter. I think it was to Telegraph, one of the right-wing newspapers in UK, begging for a job, and how he would serve their interest. And this guy always, he's always sold to the highest bidder. But he's the best control opposition because he always takes the most safest stance. Like the most safe liberal stance. And then people are like, oh, he's a good guy. He supports Palestine. But if you actually look at what he does, like Confucius says, listen to one's words, but watch their action. If you look at what Mehdi Hasan actually do, despite all his rhetorics, he was trying to get shame people to vote for Biden. I mean, it totally doesn't make sense. You know what Biden was doing, yet he was shaming everyone who didn't even not even the people who he's not even shaming people who vote for Trump. He's shaming the people who decide just not to vote for Democrats because they say, well, if you're not voting for Democrats, you're voting for Trump, so you're a monster. He is those people, and he had that cloak or cover up because he's a pro-Palestine guy, but he's doing everything that's opposite. That's undermining the Palestinian cause.
Yeah, look at this argument that he used because there's actually more receipts I didn't see. I didn't even know that, like, Max Blumenthal dropped and exposed this boy. And in this tweet, I summed it up. He said, to all the trolls, people are anti-genocide or trolls. To Mehdi Hasan. He to all the trolls, if voting for Harris is such a bad idea, why is Benjamin Netanyahu want Donald Trump to win? Gotcha. I just summed this tweet up for you guys. That's his big gotcha moment, Carl. Do you feel owned? Like, this is Mehdi Hasan owning us. And that's the middle part. If you guys are right and this is actually an anti-genocide vote, why did Benjamin Netanyahu want Trump to win? And here's another one that just as cringe. This is what you call straight up and shameless Trump minimization from some on the left. It's ridiculous.
And he's speaking to Arab American and Muslim Americans in battleground states like Michigan. And he, it's really condescending in a very condescending way. Like, you guys don't know what your best interest is. Yeah, exactly. Like, me, I'm very well connected. I know how the world works. I'm telling you, you better vote for Democrats because that's the only option you have. That's what he's saying.
Yep. Yeah. So let's make it on. Let's. I can move off him. We already know how much of a joke he is. This is another reason why Israelis are in shambles right now. The excuses that liberals made was that Netanyahu would never ever accept the ceasefire deal, but they accepted the ceasefire deal. And I'll show you guys the headline where that was 100% the red line. They wanted a complete obliteration of Hamas and completely destroying their self-governance in Gaza. Now, to be clear, the language of this ceasefire said they don't want to see Gaza being ruled by Hamas. But the reason why this is an L for Israel, because there's no enforcement mechanism for that. So yeah, it's a language that will put in the ceasefire bill to appease Israelis. Oh, we must prevent Hamas. No. Hamas is running stronger than ever. I just saw a story, and I had to dig in my receipts to find it, how there were just 10 IDF members killed again by Hamas because they was planning charges at a residential building, saying they were about to destroy it, and then a Hamas member fired an RPG or some sort of explosive while the IDF members was planning explosives in this building, and that caused the building to collapse, and over 10 IDF members died. So it happened again. It happened multiple times already where Israelis were caught getting snuffed out, blowing up buildings. So here's Anthony Blinken explaining what I told you guys over a year ago, that Israel has no mechanism to destroy Hamas, and their belief that they can win a war by slaughtering women and children was delusional. All they did was strengthen Hamas. Here's Anthony Blinken It's only a short clip. This Anthony Blinken confirming that Hamas has not been defeated.
Indeed,
here it is.
We assess that Hamas has recruited almost as many new militants as it has lost.
Hamas recruited almost as many new militants than they lost. That is a devastating loss to the Israelis, and this is why they're protesting. I explained this in my hotspot video. I could find you guys footage. I might do that, where they're chanting, "We want to win the war." They're saying in like whatever the fucking stupid language they speak, Hebrew, whatever. They say we want to win the war because Israelis are furious that they accepted a ceasefire and at a losing position. So anyway, let me finish the clip and I can get back.
That is a recipe for an enduring insurgency and perpetual war. The longer the war goes on, the worse the humanitarian situation gets in Gaza. Indeed, we assess that Hamas has recruited almost as many new militants as it has lost.
And I'm going to show you guys. And now, I was reading into this ceasefire, as I always do. And I'm happy for the people of Gaza, my friends, because the amount of celebration and relief they are getting cannot be understated. But I also got to keep it real with you guys, as a citizen journalist who wants you guys to be informed. This is once again a 6-week ceasefire. I'm not happy with a 6-week ceasefire. Now, I'm happy for people in Gaza. They're happy. All the reports I'm seeing Palestinians are celebrating. I am happy for them. Now, let's get to the part where it's less fun. This is the butt that I've been waiting to drop this entire live stream. So, yeah, we are surprised that Trump is doing this, but I always knew there was a but. The first but is that this ceasefire is only 6 weeks, and as we know, that is not a true ceasefire. There are a lot of people who are reporting this story, especially a lot of pro-Trump influencers, that's saying that Trump ended the genocide in Gaza. My friends, that is not what happened. And this is what being reported in Israeli media. Israeli media is reporting that Trump promised Netanyahu he would support Israel retroactively when they break the Gaza ceasefire and restart the war after signing the deal. And I can 100% see this happening. I can see Israel violating the ceasefire like they do all the time, them blaming Hamas, and then Trump going to his supporters blaming Hamas as well, and they're just falling for it. So that's the but, guys. I have to throw this in. This war is the pain for Palestinians is not necessarily over. I can easily see Trump, because we know he's a cuck to the Zionist lobby. This was probably the promise that he gave to Marian Allison, the give and take. Trump got to pretend to push for the ceasefire, but hey, man, I'll let you break it later. But Carl, what's your thoughts? I didn't want to do this part of the story. I was hoping there wasn't no buts, but I got to do my due diligence as a citizen journalist. I read this part, my heart sunk like, fuck. The Palestinians are not going to get the relief I hope they got. But I do think it's good, and they're celebrating a 6-week relief, which is desperately needed, but it's not going to be enough. Carl, any thoughts?
I agree. I mean, like, this is they have been talking about temporary ceasefire all this time. What they need, of course, is a permanent ceasefire and a peace process. But, I don't think Netanyahu will abide by that. And we also have to see how this ceasefire gets implemented, because Israel has, in the past, has agreed to plenty of ceasefire, then you broke. Because Israel do have they are, especially whenever they feel they have the upper hand, they can gain advantage from it. They will never hesitate to break a ceasefire. So we're going to have to continue to monitor the situation. But I am happy, even if it's a temporary reprieve.
Yeah.
They are getting, the Palestinians on the ground are getting the 6 weeks. Hopefully this full 6 weeks reprieve.
I saw this anecdotal story someone shared how there was a 2-year-old in Gaza. I saw this because someone shared a screenshot of this. Someone's playing this. There was a 2-year-old in Gaza that was celebrating the idea of a ceasefire, and his father explained how his toddler barely knew his name, but his toddler knew what a ceasefire was.
Wow.
I gotta find a tweet. I'm mad I didn't save it for the stream. It was an anecdotal story I read, which is very. How do you guys understand the trauma that you're a 2-year-old and you understand the concept of a ceasefire? More do you know your dad's name? His 2-year-old, according to the story, was excited when he heard the news. So this is why I'm happy about it, because I'm on the side of the people in Gaza and they're happy about it and they just want any relief. But as an American, we got to keep our eyes on the prize and realize it's not over. So that's my position on this. Here, this is another reason, and I might do a whole nother stream. Dude, this fucking Senate confirmation. And I wasn't planning. I was probably gonna do a segment on Tulsi CIA stuff because that was gonna be. I'm looking forward to seeing that play out. But I wasn't planning on covering any of these. But the Pete Hegseth, I don't know how to say his name. Hegseth. His hearing was batshit crazy from the beginning to the end. There was a point where I was preparing my show and listening to for a little bit of it, and obviously you had the liberals grilling him, but that part was very boring to me because they was bringing up a lot of smear jobs. The fascinating part, what I'm going to show you guys, is when the Republican senators was talking to Pete Hegseth, because it wasn't them grilling them. They were just talking about their ideology and how they view the world. And it is the best case study of the imperialist mindset that they just openly admit, which is why it's weird that we're called conspiracy theorists. They just openly admit they believe the United States should dominate the world. So this is not the full statement, guys. I'm gonna grab some clips. I saw Hotspot posted some. I'm gonna do a whole segment about this because I saw so many. Here's just one example of why we gotta assume that despite the ceasefire deal, that Trump is still gonna be an Israeli cuck. That is gonna legislate to the detriment of Palestinians. We are post-duopoly, and we want people to understand it. So I can laugh and have fun about how Donald Trump outmaneuvered the Democratic Party, made them look bad, and I can highlight how the Democratic Party is looking horrible compared to Trump. But I will always keep it real with you about what to expect upcoming. Carl, I saw you on mute. Do you want to chime in? Feel free to interrupt you. Do you want to chime in?
No, you're good. You're good. Keep ranting.
I'm gonna play this clip, and I'll ask you to chime in. Here's Pete Hegseth with Tom Cotton, who is this guy. If I had to pick the worst senator, the craziest, like if I had to ask me who the craziest senator is, easy Tom Cotton. Like he's the most anti-China, bro. He had nightmares at night thinking about China. I can show you guys some anti-China rants for this guy. He's one of the craziest senators. I'm not bullshitting you. Like straight up batshit crazy. And here's just another example of this. This is the Trump administration swearing their allegiance to Christian Zionism.
Being a Christian Zionist, I'm not really sure why that is.
I'm sorry, this video is kind of low, but probably just got turned up a little bit. It is kind of low. I can't really do anything about it. Let me play it again here.
Being a Christian Zionist, I'm not really sure why that is a bad thing. I'm a Christian. I'm a Zionist. Zionism is that the Jewish people deserve a homeland in the ancient Holy Land where they've lived since the dawn of history. Do you consider yourself a Christian Zionist?
Senator, I'm a Christian, and I robustly support the state of Israel and its existential defense, and the way America comes alongside them is a great ally.
Thank you. Because another protest.
This is why the ADL's definition, and the definition that is official by the United States Congress, that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, is ridiculous, because the number one driver of Zionism, as I say 1,000 times, is Christian Zionism. Carl's on any thoughts? And we move on to our last topic. We do one quick topic. I want to give your opinion about Americans fleeing the RedNote and the ban on TikTok. But before that, any final thoughts on Trump's posture towards Israel, Christian Zionism? Anything you want to add to wrap this segment up before we get to our last segment?
Yeah, I think it's Trump right now is doing what he did because he feels he has a political capital to do it. Because how is anyone going to accuse Trump of being anti-Israel? Well, this could be more like a tactical concession. Trump is doing this so he can refocus his energy in the Americas, in Americas where U.S. still wield a lot more influence. There's going to be hardly any opposition if U.S. really takes over Greenland, for example, or even Panama, and so there. Trump move might be a tactical move to take the Gaza Palestine issue temporarily off the table while he focuses on other priorities. We're gonna have to see how the ceasefire itself gets implemented, because this is it leaves a lot to the goodwill of Netanyahu to follow through, to abide by the ceasefire, and his track record hasn't been good. But I'm hoping for the best. But I agree with you. We have to be real about this, and this is not this is not a permanent ceasefire where this is only a temporary reprieve. We don't even know if this temporary reprieve is gonna be honored in the full 6 weeks. But let's hope for the best.
Yep, and we will definitely be continue to monitor this story and keep a watchful eye on the Trump administration. I'm very interested in seeing how he's going to govern, especially the NATO part. That's extremely interesting to me. The tension there, and now the tension that's building between him and apparently Netanyahu. But let's get to our next story because apparently Trump is one of the people who are slowing down TikTok being fully banned. You know how detrimental that would be. I need anyone to explain this to me. Like, what Americans are being told that we must delete TikTok because China is spying on us, even though the CEO of TikTok is from Singapore and he graduated from Harvard. So please, I need someone to explain to me why we are supposed to be worried about Chinese spyware on an app from Singapore, and why. Go ahead, Carl.
Well, I mean, so the parent, it's a parent company of TikTok, ByteDance. That's a Chinese company, and this is what the American congressmen have issue with. This, because ByteDance has basically two apps. They created TikTok for the international audience, and they created Douyin for domestic Chinese audience. And there's basically the two are keeping separate. For all the U.S. user data, they're actually being kept in U.S. They had a project called Project Texas that keeps all your profile, all your videos, everything in U.S. to comply with the U.S. government demand that American data should not be shipped overseas. But this is not really about China. It's TikTok.
Absolutely.
There's tons of money being waged in Congress to lobby Congress to ban TikTok by Google, by Facebook. The TikTok is eating the lunch of Instagram, right? I mean, Zuckerberg was pretty happy about the ban on TikTok. This is what he has been praying for a long time, what he's been paying for a long time. But I think the surprising thing is a lot of the Zoomers who are on TikTok, they are wise up to it. They know their government is selling them bullshit, because why would they even care if the Chinese have their data versus, say, the American government have access to their data through Meta, through Instagram, Facebook, Google, etc. Because Chinese government don't have jurisdiction over you. What's Xi Jinping gonna do if he knows what's your favorite cat video? But the FBI, all the three-letter agencies, they can cause you a whole lot more trouble if they actually monitor and survey your online presence, like they surely do. A lot of the talks about China in the United States is 100% projection. When they talk about online platform as a tools of subversion, national security threat, that's exactly what United States government has done for decades. They have weaponized Facebook, they have weaponized Twitter, all across the world to push for regime change and color revolution. They did that in 2009 when they tried to inspire the so-called Green Revolution in Iran. Facebook played a large role in that. And in fact, before 2009, all the American social media apps were freely available in China, or I'm talking about YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. And it's because in July, around July 2009, around the same time they were trying to inspire regime change in Iran. There a lot of the NED supported Uyghur diaspora groups. They were circulating rumors through Facebook about there was a massacre of Uyghur workers in working in factories in Guangdong province, and that feedback into Xinjiang, and that instigated the July 5th Urumqi riots, in which over 200 people died and 2,000 people wounded. So after that incident in Xinjiang, this led to the crackdown on all the American social media app. Now, American social media app were not straight out banned, but they were required to follow Chinese regulation. But Google said no. Like this is, people can go look up the news. Google was not banned. Google were told they have to follow Chinese laws and Chinese regulation when they're operating in China. And Google said, no, we won't abide by that. We will just leave. Because at that time, they were also losing to their competition, the Chinese company Baidu. So they feel like, we will not, we're willing to give up 20% of the Chinese market share to preserve our, quote unquote, reputation in the West. And so the Google, they walked away. And this, with Google, that goes through YouTube, etc. And so with TikTok, of course, American politicians would imagine TikTok is similarly being used as a tool of subversion by the Chinese government, because this is what they do with with American social media platforms worldwide. And this is why you have some ridiculous claims that somehow TikTok is inspiring all the pro-Palestinian rallies in the United States. That's supposedly a sign of how Chinese is spreading anti-Semitism in U.S. They're stoking there is Chinese political interference.
I saw a Fox News host blame China for Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd. I know you've seen that too. I've seen them say that as well. But continue, Carl.
Yeah, because apparently U.S. never had any racial problems, before introduction of TikTok, and so there's a lot of projection, and it's a combination. It's really a combination of the U.S. national security state, big tech, Google and Facebook, and all these all these congressmen in their pay. That's the drive to ban TikTok. But I'm very glad the vast majority of young Americans who are on TikTok saw right through their government propaganda. Yep. So instead of migrating to Instagram like Zuckerberg was praying for, now they're migrating to another Chinese app, another Chinese social media app, literally named Little Red Book. It's in Chinese, 小红书 literally means Little Red Book. It was originally an ironic reference to Mao's Little Red Book. But when they try to market in English, I guess they market it as RedNote. So not.
Oh, that's interesting. That's a cool little backstory. I didn't know that. Definitely interesting.
Yeah. Because they understand all these brainwashed Westerners gonna get triggered if they find out the app was actually named after the Little Red Book.
And let me tell you guys something. As a communist, I feel extremely at home at this app. Let me tell you something. Wait, go continue, Carl. I feel extremely at home there.
And so this and a lot of, I think there's several viral videos on TikTok where people are saying, this would be the biggest F you would give to our government by migrating to actually Chinese social media ecosystem. So the difference between, a lot of people are calling RedNote a Chinese TikTok. It's actually not Chinese TikTok. The Chinese TikTok is Douyin. So ByteDance, like I said, they have two versions of the app. One TikTok for international audience, one Douyin for domestic Chinese audience. But the problem is they keep the two user base separate. So a lot of Americans, you can't even download Douyin from like Apple Store or Google Play Store. But for more tech savvy ones, you are able to download APKs onto your Android phone. But then you can only browse the content. You cannot actually register for an account, because to register for an account on Douyin, you need a Chinese phone number. But RedNote, what it did not, it has an international version, and it did not separate the user base, because this is primarily a Chinese app, by the Chinese people for the Chinese people. So I think their international version was launched to mostly for Chinese diaspora and Chinese exchange students studying abroad. So they didn't expect, so they didn't maintain like this firewall separating the user bases. So now with the influx of American TikTok refugees, suddenly we're witnessing unprecedented Sino-American exchange, people-to-people exchange in cyberspace at a great scale. I mean, like,
we are witnessing something special right now. Like as someone who advocated for an international anti-imperialist coalition, I dreamed of a coalition of the global working class, realizing that this is the next step of human evolution, realizing that we have way more in common with each other than we do our global elites. Like that's the next level of human enlightenment. And that's why what we're seeing on RedNote, we are seeing amazing things. Like as we are being called monkeys every day on Twitter, especially by Zionists. Like you get called the N-word every day, monkeys. This is what you're seeing on RedNote. We're seeing Black Americans communicate with Chinese people that explain that we are family. We are witnessing people around the world connecting, and it scares the fucking shit out of our ruling class. And there are too many of these videos to play in one segment, so I'll play one because the Chinese people on the app, they're welcoming Americans with open arms. Because like most people, I talk to many people all around the world. The hatred is not of the average American. They understand that we are held hostage by our government. And that's why I try to explain to people who have like the hatred of them. Dude, we live in an authoritarian fascist hellhole. You know what I mean? And we're the victims of the ruling class. And I'm gonna play this video. I'll shut up. But the positive connection we are seeing from people from the East and the West right now is incredible. So I'll play this video and I'll get your final thoughts, and we can begin to wrap up. It's always great having you on, Carl. Let's play this video. We get to our conclusion.
Hey friends from TikTok, I am Abe from China, and I just want to say it's so amazing to have you here. For so long, we haven't really been able to connect or talk to each other like this, but now we finally can, and it feels so special. This is such a real chance for us to really get to know each other and maybe create something amazing together. It's not always easy. We are from different place, different culture, and there are policy issues too. But that's exactly what makes it so exciting. So I just want to say you are not just welcome here. I really, really hope you will stay.
And this is devastating to the Americans who've been brainwashed to hate that guy. For the people who was brainwashed to hate these people. I really wish to visit China one day. Hopefully we can make it happen. But Carl, what's your final thoughts on what you see in this video and the possibility of Americans? And I made my account. Like this is what I posted on. Actually, did I take it down? I'll show you guys later. But what's your thoughts, Carl? As I show you guys, I made my account on RedNote. I'm posting all my. Oh, here it is. This is my account. I made my account today. I'm posting all my hotspot videos and see what happens. So, citizen journalist from USA, that's me. So, I highly recommend downloading RedNote. It's interesting. So, Carl, final thoughts. Do you have anything you want to add to as we begin to wrap up?
This is a very nice surprise. And again, this is the unexpected result of this really stupid U.S. government policy, right? I mean, This is like kind of the best outcome that nobody expected. Now when the American TikToker refugees they migrate into this app, suddenly you are plugged in to 300 million Chinese users, and most of these the users of RedNote, and most of them are educated, urbanized, and many of them have decent English skills. So I see some amazing cross-cultural communication already happening on the app. I do hope this continue. I mean, this is quite unprecedented.
It makes me want to learn Mandarin. You know what I mean? Because Mandarin, like, if you think about it, Mandarin is the most spoken language in the world, right? Over 1 billion people speak it. So should we learn Mandarin? I heard it's hard as fuck though. Like if you now speak English, I heard it's hard. I'm probably just get started on it. But sorry, Carl, you can finish your thoughts.
But I mean, like you see the effect of you joining the app. I mean, a lot of you are in the same boat with many of these American TikTok refugees. I mean, this is how the curiosity and that sparks off this fruitful cultural exchange. So this is something that U.S. government is trying really hard to sabotage. You know, they do their best to decouple from China, but it's trying to plug a leaky pipe. You know, they fix one hole and the water comes out the other end. And this actually make me more optimistic about the future. If you look at the young people, you know, that's mostly using these apps. The kids are all right, Nick. The kids are all right. So
that's a fantastic way to end. I'm going to read a few super chats and then we can plug your podcast. Big shout out to Super Seamster Stone Show. Always leave good super chats, so good shout out to them. E. Smith, I appreciate the 499. Cal Kalinske will still find a way to get mad at Trump. Dude, they're gonna be doing a lot of mental gymnastics. There are gonna be a lot of things they're not gonna tell their audience. Can you imagine you told people to vote for Kamala Harris? But because you care about Palestinians. And once again, the Kamala campaign wasn't even lying. I give them that credit. The only time they did not lie is when they said, "Oh, we're not changing our policy on Gaza." So I couldn't imagine like losing my credibility with you guys that bad. But they lose credibility when one audience, and then they engage in audience capture, which is why he became a hardcore Democrat. I think for $2 Mark. Hey Carl, say hello to your brother Pete for me. Big shout out to Pete. Thank you for super chat, Mark. Thank you for 99 John. I think this last one we have GV Black who said double check to like this video. Big shout out to them, and shout out to John. Last super chat. Have there been any updates on the number of Palestinians killed? The last I heard, it was over 200,000 for the Lancet article. The Lancet article seemed like it was the most legit. It's infuriating. When I still see people use the 30,000 number, the 40,000 number. We have seen throughout the course of history, we've seen this in Rwanda as well. One of the best anti-genocide propaganda, or pro-genocide, I should say, propaganda you can do is freeze the death count. And that's what they did. I've been screaming this for a year, which is why you guys know about it. But you freeze the death count to give the illusion that the genocider is improving and changing their tactics. That's what they did in Israel. You have to be a clown to believe that's only 40,000 died. So I don't know to answer your question. I don't know the real number. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 300, 400,000. The amount of malnutrition, the amount of suffering that can't even be calculated by numbers. Even the Gaza Health Ministry admit that they can't calculate the true death. It wouldn't surprise me if it's over 300,000 by now, but who knows? Carl, any last thoughts? Thank you. It's always great having you on for our Foreign Policy Power Hour segments. Make sure you guys check out the host of Silk and Still podcast. Any final thoughts, Carl, before we sign off here?
No, the kids are all right. I'm pretty happy about that. The kids are all right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for watching a rare Nick at Night. We are back. Tomorrow we will have Dave DeCamp on. So another banger, the mother of all bangers, as you guys get on RBN. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your night. Peace out, y'all. Take care.